This is Hilary Kramer, the Millionaire Maker, and welcome to our show. There's so much to talk about, but we got to start with the most important of it all, and that is cryptocurrency. This is like a mushroom, like in the dark, and then you know how like you turn the light on, and then suddenly there's like 50 mushrooms, and the next day there's like 50,000 mushrooms, and some of them you can actually cook and eat. Well, and then others can be poisonous. Let's talk cryptocurrency. Hey, Tal,
Yeah.
let's talk about this company that I think we need to tell everyone about because no one's heard of it. It's called FTX, and then how you can make money from it or what you should do to make money from cryptocurrency. So, you want to trade Tesla 24 hours a day? Or how about betting on Robinhood market stock and how it's going to fare in its initial public offering? Or whether Donald Trump is going to retake the presidency in 2024, but that's a whole other discussion. All that and more is actually available on something called FTX. Yes, FTX. It's one of the world's fastest growing cryptocurrency exchanges, but not if you're American. And that's why you probably haven't heard about it. But I'm telling you here first so you understand. Okay, in that case, the hottest and riskiest markets of this Hong Kong based exchange are off limits, a move FTX made to keep from running afoul of US regulators, because that's a really big part of cryptocurrency. And remember, that may do us all in the cryptocurrency world once it gets regulated. Now, FTX is the brainchild of a 29-year-old billionaire named Sam Bankman Fried, and he's a vegan, which really has nothing to do with FTX, except that it would give him not a lot of energy, and he'd be eating a lot of not very interesting food. Okay, so he shares a Hong Kong apartment with a roommate, and he sleeps on a beanbag chair. And he's from California, and he drew attention last year when he gave $5 million to a group backing Joe Biden's campaign, making him the second biggest CEO supporter of Biden after Michael Bloomberg. That's totally beside the point. But more recently, I'm telling you about FTX for a reason. FTX notched $135 million 19-year deal to buy the naming rights to the home of the Miami Heat. The deal, which was approved by the National Basketball Association last week, means the stadium, now called the American Airlines Arena, will be called the FTX Arena starting the 2021-22 NBA season, and that's coming right up. Let's just hope there's some players that are well enough to play. Have you heard about that one? That's a whole other
That's a whole nother story.
discussion, which is that they just keep getting hurt because they didn't they didn't work out at all for months. Then suddenly they had the bubble. They played intensively. They're playing intensively again. But anyway, there's still going to be basketball and people are going to be really interested. FTX says the deal is aimed at promoting its smaller US exchange, which offers a less exotic array of products than FTX's overseas. But just the fact that they're willing, FTX wants to rename an arena, what does that tell you? Tells you they are ready to get in here. So cryptocurrencies are increasingly going mainstream. Bitcoin has more than doubled in value this year, as we know. As of Friday at the close, it was trading at around $60,000 for one Bitcoin. And Coinbase Global Inc., one of the biggest U.S. crypto companies. It's actually an exchange, went public on the NASDAQ this week, and they did that, of course, by direct listing. And depending upon who you ask, you can ask me, Coinbase's market capitalization of 84 billion. Well, look, I want to know what you, James, and what you, Tal, think. It's either a sign that Bitcoin mania has gotten out of hand or that traditional finance is about to be conquered
I
by the disruptors from the crypto world, right?
I
Because
don't.
to many crypto insiders, the real action is in that Coinbase, which embraces regulation, is long focused on making it easy for newbies to buy Bitcoin, even though Coinbase is the stock that I'm going to be buying, and I know that Tal you already own.
Yep.
Far more exciting are these offshore exchanges like FTX. These operate outside the reach of US authorities and they offer digital currencies and crypto derivatives, complex products so that traders make risky bets on. The future price of Bitcoin, Ether, and other coins is basically like an option service. And this billionaire who worked for quantitative trading giant James Street Capital before getting into Bitcoin has won praise for running a more reliable crypto exchange than many of his competitors and for FTX's policy of donating 1% of its revenue to charity. That's pretty good. People love when people do that. But he has raised eyebrows with this aggressive approach to launching these new markets, including some that skirt the boundary of what's permitted under US law. For instance, FTX was the first major crypto exchange to offer tokenized stocks, digital coins that track the value of shares of companies. Are you ready for this? Like Tesla, GameStop, BioNTech. I think they do their vaccine with Pfizer, correct? It also offers a popular spin-off product called pre-IPO contracts, which let you bet on companies that haven't gone public yet, like Robinhood. Okay. Why am I telling you all this? I'm telling you all of this because you got to keep familiarizing yourself with names. And the most important one outside of Coinbase and Bitcoin is FTX, because through FTX's tokenized stocks are this, it's like a relatively small market, $1.3 billion traded so far this year, and it's a fraction of the volume in Tesla. And crypto advocates see this as a way to liberate stocks from unnecessary constraints. So basically, what FTX is doing is they're not just a currency, they're also an exchange at the same time that operates 24 hours a day. So unlike normal stocks, these tokenized stocks trade around the clock, whether or not US exchanges are open, and they can be accessed by investors worldwide. It's going to change everything, everything. Some would even say this is the biggest crypto exchange in the world. So let's see what happens. This billionaire hopes U.S. regulators are going to allow the products. Nothing operates 9:30 to 4, 5 days a week. It's going to be 24 hours a day. Skeptics, a lot of the skeptics are very wary. And Bankman Fried, the billionaire, says tokenized stocks aren't much more complex than American depository receipts. So I want everybody to keep their eyes and ears open. Everything that we know, even about how stocks are traded, are going to be changed by cryptocurrency. Now, but a strategy like this risks. Last October, federal prosecutors charged the founders of BitMEX, another offshore crypto exchange, with violating anti-money laundering laws because of its failure to register with the U.S. regulators, who turned a blind eye to Americans using its platform until they didn't. And how do they make money? These exchanges make money by collecting fees from traders, and then the more volume they handle, the more they earn. And that's why Coinbase makes so much money. And so far this month, FTX has processed $10.7 billion of trades on average, up from 900 million just 6 months ago. Everyone, keep your eye on FTX. Keep your eye on FTX, and a way to get into FTX if it has an IPO or a direct listing. And I think FTX and the way FTX works is the future. Now, Tal, is that something that you find interesting? I mean, right
I
now,
do.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
right.
it
This is
is
serious stuff.
this.
This
So,
is truly a disruptor. That word
so,
disruptor is overused, but this one is a disruptor.
so this is what I think is kind of interesting. Um, so what is kind of a mind-boggling thing is there are over 300 different exchanges worldwide.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of them, yeah, right, crazy. You don't even think about it. And a lot of them um, are so small and really deal in such obscurity that they're not even, you can't even list how much average liquidity they have on a given day or week or month, or really how much money that their volume is in any real quantity, right? But this company,
Mm-hmm.
being that it's so new,
FTX,
it,
right?
yeah, FTX is already making its way up the list. And it's not, I mean, while you were explaining it to us, I was kind of trying to like dig into it and find out where it stands. And it is like, it's not, it's in the hundreds out of like, it's already halfway up the list and it's brand new. So,
But this is the reason why, because you can use it for everything, right?
right.
I mean, think about what FTX can do. During the US presidential election, FTX ran a prediction market that was closely followed by crypto traders. In such a market, people bet money on future events, and the prices reflected the expected probabilities of outcomes. It was just in crypto that you made the bet. Just before election day, the market showed the odds of Trump winning at only 30%, and that spiked to 80% after the incumbent president took Florida, and then it fell. Okay, my point to you is you're talking about an exchange. You're talking about, a true exchange. You're talking about a betting site. You're
Yeah,
talking
that's what's the
about
biggest.
about all new crypto coins having a place and a role. You're talking about a competitor to Coinbase, which just went public and we still believe will
And
be a double COIN. But I'm trying to make sure that all of you out there understand that there's so much coming down the pike. I mean, everything we know is changing. And if you're really busy watching like Roku, which we've had everyone in Roku and they're up like 700% in Roku, don't get me wrong, or if you're in Splunk and data analysis, all that stuff, yeah, they're innovators, they're disruptors, but true disruption is what's going to happen with all these exchanges. Ultimately, cryptocurrency has to be regulated. It will be regulated because how else are countries going to be able to collect tax? Because a lot of this cryptocurrency, without my being a historian, I assume, really got established because it replaced the good old fashioned envelope in the back of an alley, where someone needs to pay for something and they give you some cash and then they get their deal. And then this way, that's what cryptocurrency originally was. But now, with such little faith in the US dollar, because $7 trillion was spent not on stimulus, but on a bridge that we needed for the most part, of course, people were losing their jobs. This was a real tragedy, pandemic. But now we've spent $7 trillion, but not on anything that's going to offer real stimulus to our economy. And so, and that's what's given the door wide open access to everybody who thinks the dollar isn't where it's at.
yeah, and I mean, I do think it's gamifying and making like a betting kind of incorporating betting into some serious money type of exchange that you haven't ever seen really, right? There's always been like a divide. The gambling world and like the finance world have always been pretty separate. And this is, I mean, if you want to call it a bridge, that's probably an understatement, right?
Now, this is phenomenal. FTX, everyone remember FTX. Everyone remember the word Bankman Fried, the 29-year-old billionaire. And everyone has got to remember that this is a company that has tokenized stocks, lets you do 24-hour trading. And just remember, you learned about it here first. We're going to help you be able to buy into it once we know how you can buy into FTX. In the meantime, you can buy Coinbase, COIN. One more time. We think that's a double in the making. This is Hilary Kramer, the Millionaire Maker, and we're just going to keep taking you forward and forward and forward. The future is not buying Apple. Even if Apple's a great stock for the next 50 years, the future are companies like FTX and Coinbase.